super zoomed into it.
Am I?
Yeah, I mean, that's all right. I don't care. So
I don't want to.
Big head is filling up the whole screen.
Let me back it up a little. Back it up a little. There we go.
Welcome back to Absolutely the Best Podcast, a work in progress. I'm Zach, and with me today is my good friend George.
Hey.
This is Series 1, episode number 32, and today we are talking about Spider-Man No Way Home from December 17th, 2021. After we discuss the movie, we'll figure out where to place it in our MCU movie ranking, and our mission to figure out which one is absolutely the best. I need to turn my headphones a little bit higher. All right. As a reminder, we assume the listener has seen the movie before, and of course, there will be spoilers. Just to forewarn you, my younger son is at home and could interrupt at any moment while everybody else is out. But hopefully the iPad will keep him distracted. Okay, so do you want to start off the movie memories, or would you like me to?
You can, because I feel like mine aren't very interesting.
Yeah, you say that every episode.
Well, because I don't really watch too many shows. I mean, I'm gonna be watching Captain America: Brave New World in the theater
By the time
we can record our episode.
Yeah, by the time this episode comes out, we will have done that, and that episode will have already been out. We're recording this first.
That's our first impressions episode, right?
Yeah. This is a little inside baseball for everybody.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll go first in the movie memories. I remember hearing the rumors that Andrew Garfield was maybe going to have a cameo or something. That wasn't really clear how much he was going to be in it. And then there was like, "What's up, buddy? What do you need?"
I can do iPad, right?
Yes, you can. All right, have fun. Okay, thanks. It says that's the last interruption. We'll see. I also remember the, rumors that Tobey Maguire would also be in it. But going in, I was not pumped to see this at all. I don't really like multiverse stuff. I think I'm going to save my real multiverse rant for the next movie, which is Into the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange.
Right.
But I have very little recollection of actually seeing this movie, No Way Home, which I keep wanting to say Far From Home. Every time I Googled something about Far From Home first. I was like, that's not right. And then I realized I was putting the wrong movie name in. Anyways.
Right.
So I don't remember much about seeing it. 2 tickets to the nice theater. I'm pretty sure I saw it with the wife. And I don't love the setup of this movie. I kind of don't even like the setup of this movie.
Really? Oh, you're just going at it right now.
We're going to lose listeners on this one. Don't give up on me yet, listeners. If you love this movie, I apologize in advance. I do not. I will go ahead and spoil it. It is not worse than Ant-Man 2 to me. So it's not that bad. But anyways, I don't like the setup. It was already not going to be great because at the end of Far From Home, we had that mid-credit stinger where J. Jonah Jameson, Jesus, I can't even talk today. J. Jonah Jameson outs Peter Parker as Spider-Man, which I did not like that. I just wanted him to remain anonymous.
Yeah.
So on rewatch this time, I don't know. I think this is the third time I've seen it. I'm pretty sure I rewatched it before.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how much Doctor Strange was in this actually, which is weird because he's got his own whole damn movie next, right?
And he's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme.
That's correct, yes. And then I was going to say that they should have shuffled these up differently and done Doctor Strange first. And apparently that's what they were going to do. That was the plan before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, before COVID. And then I'm not sure why it got shuffled up, but it did. And so that changed some of the plot points in each of the movies. But and just flip-flopping them, I don't think would have worked either. I think you needed one and then a spacer and then another one maybe. But
yeah, back to back was a little bit much for you.
Yeah, it's a lot of Doctor Strange. But anyways, the other thing I noticed in this is I feel like Tom Holland is starting to look too old to pass as a high school kid in this.
But he's not. Oh, he's a high school going to college.
Yeah. Did he? Were they actually graduated yet? Because isn't there a part where there's a part where he goes back to school and the teachers are barely in the movie at all.
It's like the middle of their senior year or
something like that, right? And then and also at the end he's like studying to get his GED.
Which, why is he even studying? He's clearly the smartest person.
He doesn't need to study it. Well, he's an over-preparer apparently. But anyways, I won't fault him for that.
Right.
So let's see. Why don't you do yours? I have a couple other comments, but it's not really necessarily movie memories.
Yeah, I mean, the only things I remember from before this movie, I didn't watch this in the theater either, I don't believe, despite all of the hype for it. But I did see all of the hype about, oh, Andrew Garfield, are you going to be in this? Are you going to be in the next Spider-Man movie? Like, there are rumors that you're going to be in it. And him saying, like, completely denying it. And Tobey Maguire, I think, like, not even saying anything. And then there were the internet sleuths that looked at the trailer, and then they showed like a little piece of the trailer where the different villains were jumping.
I know exactly that scene. Yes.
Right. And so somebody's like, it looks like there's somebody like CGI'd out in the trailer. So I don't know. Part of me was just because it's kind of like, oh yeah, it'd be pretty cool to see what they're gonna do with all three Spider-Men. But I think from my first impression of it was, I ended up liking it more than I wanted to, but I think I liked pieces of it more than I liked the whole. Because to your point, it becomes problematic when you start thinking about the details about like what happened, and then the multiverse stuff that just doesn't kind of add up.
Yeah, and I mean, there's definitely a couple of things in this movie that I really like. You know, there was some joy involved in watching this.
There was a lot of all Spider-Man movie have like a certain extent of joy, I feel like. And I think, and that's what's so great about it being a comic book fun, popcorn movie.
Yeah. Normally I try to watch it again with the commentary and pick up other things. But just like Homecoming and Far From Home, there was no commentary track because Sony sucks and they won't pay for the director to do that.
That's why it's missing. I also didn't see it in the Disney Plus lineup.
Yeah, there just isn't one.
Yeah.
Like, I would even go so far as to buy a DVD if there was a commentary track on it, just because I am curious about it.
Yeah.
But Sony won't pay for it, so whatever.
I apparently bought the movie.
Nice.
So I could watch it.
There was a planned Stan Lee cameo, like after he died. That they thankfully thought better of. So I guess in the screenplay, they're at the end of the movie where Peter goes into the donut shop to see MJ and she doesn't know who he is anymore. Spoiler alert. There was supposed to be a Stan Lee lookalike talking to her or something like that. So that was, I think that was a good call not to do that. Yes. And instead they used his birthday as a license plate number on a taxi in the bridge fight scene. So I didn't pick up on that. I don't know when his birthday is either. I don't think I would have seen a license plate number with 6 to 8 digits on it. And then like, that looks like a birthday.
Yeah, I'm not really the kind of person that pauses a frame and just to look to see if there's any meaning in somebody's license plate.
Not for that, no. But there was other things in this that I definitely paused and stepped through. Okay, so let me just make sure I'm not overlooking something else. I am. I almost skipped over the whole credits thing. So Spider-Man No Way Home is the 27th movie in the MCU series. It was the same writing and directing team as Far From Home, with John Watts directing, Chris McKenna and Eric Summers writing. And we've obviously discussed them before. I do want to point out that for Homecoming, there were 3 additional writers who were either not brought back or decided not to come back for Far From Home and for this movie. 2 of the writers here for this one also wrote Ant-Man and the Wasp. So while this movie is not nearly as bad as that, it does have the kind of badly written hubris to it. That, to me, it did. Anyways, I don't want to get into the ranking yet, but I will say up front, I acknowledge that this is an extremely highly rated amongst critics and audience, and I am the odd man out here. But that's how I feel.
This movie?
This one, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder.
This one and Shang-Chi, which I do like, but still don't, so this one and Shang-Chi, roughly the same rating overall, highest in the MCU amongst critics and the audience.
That's weird to me.
That is very weird. And I love Shang-Chi. It's great. I don't think it's the best one. But it's up there. But in this one, I don't understand it at all. But we'll get into that.
Wow.
We'll get into that. Yeah. Sorry to everybody that I don't like this movie. Don't hate me. Keep listening. So anyways, let's talk about, we've obviously covered most of the characters in the Spider-Man movies, the returning characters. So Peter Parker, Ned, MJ, May, Happy, Flash, who we don't see enough of in this, in my opinion.
Yep.
We also have Doctor Strange and Wong. We've talked about their actors and what they've
Who doesn't love Wong?
Love Wong. Can never get enough. But there are some new characters to the MCU anyway. And those include Alfred Molina as Otto Octavius, or Dr. Octopus.
Yep.
He was the villain in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, I believe, right?
Yep.
And it's been a while since I've seen that. And everyone should know Alfred Molina from the opening scene, except for you, George, because you've never seen it. But
I've never seen it.
Everyone should know him from the opening scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And he's worked a bunch, too much to really list and discuss here. But one of my personal favorites is Species, in which he plays.
Oh, I remember Species. Yeah.
Dr. Arden, who dies by banging a sexy alien.
So one way to go out.
I could think of worse ways. Then we have Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn / Green Goblin. Green Goblin was the villain in the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
Right.
And Willem Dafoe has also worked a bunch. Some of my favorite parts that he's done were in Odd Thomas. He's like the detective in that, right?
Yeah.
And Platoon, is he Barnes, or is that what's his name? I forget all the characters' names. Platoon's a good movie. Dafoe is great in it. Lots of good actors in that one. And The Lighthouse, which is one that I kind of didn't like at first, and I was just kind of skipping through it, waiting, quote unquote, waiting for it to get good. And then I listened to a podcast about it, and I was like, maybe I need to watch this more carefully. And I did, and actually enjoyed it much more on the second watch.
I don't think I've heard of The Lighthouse.
Oh, it's like the black and white one. That's like the ratio is 4:3. So, and it's Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and that's pretty much it. Like there's maybe another 2 characters throughout the whole movie, but they're just.
Oh, I think I've heard of this. I didn't watch it.
It's not for everyone, but I did like it.
Yeah.
But is there anything that Dafoe did that stands out to you?
No, but I was going to ask you, of the two of them, because I think these two, Alfred Molina and William Dafoe, were the best of the Spider-Man villains. I was going to say, which of these two, or at least the ones that show up in this movie, which of those two were your favorite?
I don't know. I really like Willem Dafoe, and I really like what's his name? I already forgot his name. Alfred Molina. I don't really care for either of the villains that much. I feel like Green Goblin, because they brought him back in the third one too, right? But it was James Franco, right?
Yep.
And it's his son. I don't want Green Goblin again. So it's a little bit like how the Joker's got to be in like most of the Batman movies. Like, can we do a different villain? So I guess I would go with Octavius, because he was only in Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man
right?
2.
Yeah. So
he was my favorite.
Tired of him. Okay.
I really loved his art. The octopus arms and the mechanical ones.
Yeah.
I feel like Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 didn't get enough love, because I thought those arms were just awesome.
Yeah.
How they made them. Oh, Willem Dafoe was also in The Boondock Saints, which is a favorite of mine.
Oh yeah, that's like the one good movie that director did. He's
that particular director.
Yeah, he's like a total dick apparently.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's a bit problematic.
Troy Duffy.
Yes, I wanted to say Trey, but yeah, Troy Duffy. Yeah.
I just happened to be. I was like, what was the name of that movie that I loved so much as growing up?
Yeah. I saw it once and I liked it, and that was it. I don't know if it would hold up, but it was
my favorite Norman Reedus movie until he came onto Walking Dead.
Wasn't he in Blade?
Was he in Blade?
I thought so.
Oh,
or maybe Blade
I thought he was
2,
better in Boondock Saints
or Blade 3. He's in one of the Blades. I think I could be wrong. Anyways, yeah, I do like him in Boondock Saints though. So we also have Jamie Foxx as Max Dillon / Electro. Electro is one of the villains in Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I feel like the character design gets a bit of a redemption arc here because he looked
a little bit
goofy as hell in Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I like Jamie Foxx, and he typically makes interesting movie choices. One of my favorites is Django Unchained. I think that's one of his best characters.
Mm.
But I remember seeing him in Living Color, like way back.
Careful,
in the day.
You're dating yourself.
I'm old. Everybody knows I'm old.
I also remember him from In Living Color.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey as Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah.
Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. From all the way back then.
Yeah. You are also old.
Yeah.
Almost as old. Rhys Ifans. I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name. But he plays Dr. Kurt Connors, who is also known as Lizard. And when I was just taking notes, I kept referring to him as Croc because I thought it was Killer Croc, but that's DC, I think.
Yep, that is DC.
Yeah. So Lizard is the main villain in the first Amazing Spider-Man, I think. And I had totally forgotten that movie.
It is. When what do you call it? Gwen Stacy. Yeah, when Gwen Stacy died.
I thought she died in the second one. Was it the first one?
Was it the second one?
It could be the first one. I don't really know.
Oh man, I forget any. Oh yeah, no, it's the second one. You're right. When Emma Stone died in the second one.
So I don't really know this guy from anything else, but
Same.
Not saying anything bad. I just don't have anything to say about him. Thomas Hayden Church plays Flint Marko, also known as Sandman. Mm-hmm. Was he a bad guy in Spider-Man 3? I vaguely remember that. I mean, he's like a crook, but he gets turned into sand.
Yeah, I could never really figure out his motivation in the movie. I think Spider-Man 3 was when Sam Raimi already kind of was just like, fuck this place.
Yeah, I think he was getting the shaft on that, and then I think he contractually had to do it or something. I forget.
Yeah,
it wasn't great. It wasn't a great time for anybody involved, I don't think.
Yeah, but Thomas Hayden Church is great. I like him since Wings.
Yes, I was gonna say that. Yeah. He played Lowell. Yeah, he was great. Kind of an interesting tidbit. Rhys Ifans, whatever his name is, and Thomas Hayden Church, they only did voices for this movie. And
really?
Yeah. So clearly their characters are CGI, right? And that's how they are through most of it. But at the end, so those other actors did the motion capture reference for the on-screen CGI characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, when they change back to their normal bodies, it's repurposed footage from Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I did not bother to go try to find the exact scenes. Like, I'm not sure if it was like a Photoshop cut and paste job or if it was some leftover footage or what, but they were apparently not technically on screen for this movie.
That's interesting. That's fascinating. I was kind of in my head trying to think about all the times when Sandman was in his sand form and talking versus showing up as Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah. Huh. So, if I recall correctly, even in Spider-Man 3, he's barely normal.
He's human. Barely in it. Yeah.
So let's get on to the main event here, and immediately off to a bad start. The movie begins with that mid-credit stinger from Far From Home, in which J. Jonah Jameson outs Peter Parker as Spider-Man. It goes on a little bit longer here than in Far From Home, if I recall correctly, but I don't know if that's leftovers from that movie or if they filmed new stuff for this or what. Again, I didn't care enough to look into it. Sorry if I'm shirking my responsibilities. People on the street start harassing MJ, so Spidey swings them both out of there, and now Spider-Man / Peter Parker is public enemy number 1. And I hate this setup.
No, I do too.
Great, we agree.
The second time around, I was just kind of like, wow, I'm really hating this time around more than before.
Right, and like this, there's a good 20 minutes here at the beginning that I could just do without. Yeah. So I'm not going to jump immediately to 20 minutes in, but more or less, that's what I'm proposing we do here. If I skip over something that you wanted to talk about, please interrupt me and we'll discuss it.
I think it was just really problematic for me that, I guess, I don't know, J. Jonah Jameson strikes me as kind of like a Alex War. Alex.
It's totally Alex Jones,
Alex Jones and InfoWars type asshole.
I think that's exactly what he's supposed to be. Yeah.
But he's not really like that in the comic books. But whatever. That's not this movie.
Right.
What really annoys me is that, like, for all the good that Peter Parker did, everybody turned on him like super fast.
Yeah.
That, and then like Mysterio showed up in just like one movie.
Yeah. It's like what have you done for me lately is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. And I really had a hard time with that this time around.
Another very applicable thing that I have a friend of mine always says, and I'm going to borrow it here, but there are no credits. There are only debits. Right. So he did all this good, but he did one thing wrong and everybody turns on him.
But he didn't too, right? Like nobody bothered to see if the footage was doctored.
Well, that's true too. Yeah. He didn't even do anything wrong.
Like, no, just maybe it's just because of the current climate that I'm also annoyed about this, but like nobody did any kind of vetting of the information that they were just spoon fed by Mysterio.
It is, I'll give this movie credit for how accurately they have predicted the future. I mean, this kind of thing was already going on in 2021, but it's like, it's so out of hand now.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so everyone knows now who Spider-Man is, and Peter's life sucks. He's under investigation for allegedly killing Quentin Beck, who's Mysterio. He and MJ and Ned can't get into college because of either being Spider-Man or being associated with Spider-Man.
Yep.
And Peter Parker doesn't like it, so he goes
Say that
to Dr.
10 times fast.
This is going to happen over and over and over this episode. He goes to Dr. Strange, who recklessly agrees to help him cast a spell to make everyone forget that he is Spider-Man. And
but you're skipping some good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, so I've skipped ahead like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I have some of the things to back up to as well, but go ahead.
You're skipping Matt Murdock, Daredevil's cameo.
Yeah. So that's actually the first thing I had for the skip. Yeah, let's discuss that. So because he's under investigation, right? Peter has to hire a lawyer, and it's Matt Murdock from Daredevil, who is Daredevil. I love that scene.
Yeah, with the scene in the movie where he caught the brick.
Yeah. So somebody throws a brick through the window at Peter, and I want to call him Daredevil, Matt Murdock. Yeah, he just like does a no look catch.
Yep.
Right, catches the brick.
How did you just do that? I'm a really good lawyer.
I'm a good lawyer.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a really good lawyer. It was great. I think that's the best part of the movie, actually.
Oh, really?
That's my favorite part of the movie, anyway.
Yeah. I was excited to see Charlie Cox as Daredevil in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, even though not in his, but just the cross-pollination of
it was a perfect cameo, and I was going to say I wish he was in it more, but the movie already has too much going on.
Yeah.
So and that he's having a new show now more than makes up for him only having that cameo in this. If there was any kind of complaint to be had there.
Yep. You also skipped over Flash's new book.
I don't remember the book. Oh, that's right. I do
when they were escorting the kids into the school, and they were like,
"Back off!"
Who are you?
I'm Ned Leeds. I'm Spider-Man's best friend.
You come at my boy, you come at Flash Thompson. And if you want to read about our inspiring friendship, you can now in my new book, Flashpoint. One spider, two hearts, a million crazy-ass memories. Check it out.
Never got
that guy's just so funny. I didn't realize this, but I was watching, don't ask me why, but I was watching Scream on Netflix. He was in, I think, the latest Scream movie.
He was?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
It's okay. You probably shouldn't.
Yeah. So what was the other thing? So other things I skipped over were apparently, I don't know if it's really important, but Aunt May and Happy apparently broke up.
Yes.
And not at all important, but there's a scene where Ned's wearing a varsity jacket. Did you see the pins that were on it? This is one of those things where I paused and looked closely. So he's got one. What's up, buddy? Do you need something?
I want to tell you something.
Real fast, pal. You said no more interruptions. Okay, what is it? Okay. Thank you. Close that door, please.
Everything okay?
Yeah, he's just bored. He just wanted to show me something on his iPad. he's got these pins on his jacket, and one of them is for science, one of them is for theater, another one looks like it's maybe math, and there's another one I couldn't really tell what it was. I couldn't read it, but it looks like it was space related or something. But it was pretty funny.
I mean, to be fair, the kid got into MIT.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got to be
in the end, yeah,
pretty
I
smart.
guess. Yeah. Only because Peter pulled some strings for him.
Wait, did he?
Well,
I thought he did.
Isn't that? Well, we'll get to that. I was kind of just joking, but
okay.
I mean, they were unfairly rejected at first to begin with. So, anyways, so during the spell casting, Peter keeps throwing in contingencies while Strange is trying to cast it.
Yes.
Like about who should remember him and who shouldn't, and it gets out of control, and Strange has to shut it down, and then he ends up like putting it in a box or something that wasn't really clear to me.
Right.
Whatever. It's not worth me complaining about magic. I was looking for something else around here. I don't remember what that was at this point, but I was rewatching the scene.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you can see like the inverse silhouette, like a glowing white silhouette of Lizard at one point in this scene, like where there's kind of like a crack in the universes.
Oh, really?
I didn't notice that before. Yeah. I have a picture in the notes if you want to see it. And I'll put it in the episode for majors if no one else.
Is it this tiny thing that you're... Oh, there.
Yeah.
Oh.
See it? Yeah. So you see his tail there and his arm.
I totally didn't even notice that.
Yeah. I hadn't noticed it before, and I don't think I would have noticed it because that one's not so obvious. There's more at the end where a lot of them are more obvious, but I didn't catch that one the first few times. I was looking for something else. I don't remember what it was. So then it turns out that for some reason, the spell temporarily bridged universes or something. And speaking of bridges, the next day, Peter Parker's on a bridge and some weird inter-universe stuff happens. And then Doc Ock from the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie shows up. The reason for Peter being on the bridge is kind of dumb.
Chasing down the recruiter.
Yeah. So he's not Spider-Man here, if that matters. But in the previous scene where they're doing the spell casting, when that part is over, Strange told Peter that it's possible to contest college rejections. Right. So he should have said something before he tried casting the spell was the whole joke, basically. So to be fair to Peter here, though, I didn't know that, right? I mean, I just accepted my rejections.
Right. Oh, you were rejected?
I didn't get into, there was some that it was like a long shot. I knew it was a long shot. And I figured I should at least try, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's true.
So anyways, but also to be critical of Peter, he tracks down the MIT's assistant vice chancellor, played by Paula Newsome, who looked really familiar to me, and I finally figured it out. Did you ever see the show Barry? With I should have wrote this guy's name down. Yeah.
The comedian.
From Saturday Night Live, Bill Hader.
Max. Bill Hader, yes.
Yeah. So she plays. Yeah, it was pretty good. So she plays the detective in that. Well, I won't spoil it for anyone. Yeah, but she's in the first couple of seasons of that.
That's right.
She dates Henry Winkler's character for a while in that.
Yep.
Anyways, he chases her down in traffic and accosts her in a limo because he wants to try to convince her to
revisit his case.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So I don't know. I think that's kind of dumb. But anyways, then we get to the part where Doc Ock shows up. And so then Peter Parker suits up as Spider-Man. And he has his Iron Spider suit now, which wasn't clear to me why he was in that.
It's from Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
It's his Infinity War suit.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he just keeps all the suits around, but.
Yeah, he didn't have it in the... Oh, it was... That's because he didn't have it. He didn't bring it with him in Spider-Man 2 because he went abroad, so he had his regular pajamas.
Right. But then he made a new one that was like all customized. Why didn't he just stick with that one? Or maybe he changes them up depending. The
nanosuit Iron Spider one changes appearances and everything. He doesn't have to put it on and off, right?
Yeah, that's true. All right, you've convinced me. I don't like the look of it as much though.
Yeah, I just realized I'm not a fan of all this nanotechnology stuff. I get it. It was kind of cool when
this is what I've been saying.
Black Panther did. No, I know. I'm just saying because not to bring Captain America into this again, but I'm not a fan of Anthony Mackie's helmet coming on and off because.
I didn't even notice that part yet.
Yeah,
but I guess we'll.
Sorry,
I guess I'll notice it.
Not really spoiler alert. It's in the
No.
trailers.
I know. I've been trying to avoid some of the more recent trailers though, because I always tend to ruin everything right before the movie comes out.
Yep. Fair. Hey, so I have a question.
Yep.
So if that spell was accidentally bringing people in that knew about Spider-Man's identity, how come the only person that knew Spider-Man's identity was the Green Goblin?
Well, apparently Doc Ock did as well, and so
But he
did
didn't.
Wizard. And
Remember? Not until the very end of the movie when Tobey Maguire took off his mask. And then, actually, no, Doc Ock did. I guess not at the end of Spider-Man 2, he did realize.
So I started going down this rabbit hole as well, where I was like, did he even know? And then I was just like, it's the multiverse. In some universe, some Doc Ock knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And that's how I just kind of set it aside for myself.
Yeah.
But I had very similar questions. Yeah. And then I was like, this is not worth my time.
Yeah. Because I was just going to say, like, I think Doc Ock might have, but like the Lizard for sure didn't. Neither did Electro.
Yeah. So my assumption is that it's a different universe than in the movie that we saw.
Right.
I don't know why I'm trying to make excuses for this movie.
But then no Vulture, the baddest ass of all of them.
Yeah, I don't know why Vulture. That would have been great to have him come back. Actually,
like he for sure knew his identity.
Yeah. Although maybe in all the other universes he doesn't know.
Maybe. Yeah, that's where it gets all.
This is why I hate multiverse stuff.
Yeah.
Part of why I hate it. So Octavius shows up and he thinks he knows it's Peter Parker, and since everyone in Peter Parker's world knows that he is Spider-Man, it doesn't seem strange to Peter Parker that Doc Ock thinks he's Peter Parker.
Right.
Ock starts wreaking havoc. Spider-Man saves some people and they fight. One little detail in this fight I thought was cool that I hate myself for, because it's just one of those things where we're like, it'd be really cool is when he picks up this big concrete tube with one of the arms and he like swings it overhead, and there's like 4 frames where you're looking straight down the barrel of the tube and you can see him at the end of it. It was it was a cool shot, and it totally suckered me in.
Telling you, Doc Ock is one of the best villains.
Yeah. I mean, I liked him of all the villains in this movie. I like him best for sure. Although he doesn't really remain a villain for too long, does he?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he is through a good chunk of it. Anyways. So at one point, Doc Ock wraps Peter up with a tentacle and unmasks him. And then he realizes it's not the Peter Parker that he knows.
Mm-hmm.
And while he's distracted, for some reason, Peter's suit can pair with Doc Ock's tentacles.
Computers.
Yeah, and he takes them over. I mean, I guess I'll give the win to Tony Stark here. It's he made the suit. He's a genius. Maybe that's fine.
His AI is better than the ARM's AI.
Yes. And then you see later on that it seems like a chunk of the chest of the suit came out, and like the nanobots from that went and took over the tentacle arms.
Yep.
Arm tentacles, whatever.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense. It didn't make sense to me though. Later on, he's standing around with this big hole in his suit chest. It's like, shouldn't it reorganize itself to maybe cover up the more vital parts?
I think it could, but then like he'd have to take it away from his like helmet or from his face mask or from his arm.
Or like, I don't know. Like, what about like his feet?
Right. Yeah.
Or somewhere. Because like you saw that kind of thing happening with Tony's suit in Infinity War when he's fighting Thanos.
Yep.
Right, and he's using part of it to basically make weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
So
like the less important stuff, right? They're less important parts at that moment.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe it takes more practice with the suit to be able to do that. I'm not sure. At the end of the scene, after Peter saves the assistant vice chancellor from her car, which got knocked off the bridge in the melee, she was like dangling precariously for a while.
Mm-hmm.
After he saves her, she's all like, "You're a hero, and I'm going to talk to admissions about you and your friends." But it was his fault to begin that she was in danger, right?
Yeah, because he was there.
Yeah, just being there put her in danger. So I don't know. That didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. It's mild science gripe, though.
Ooh, okay.
Doc Ock's arm pulling and lifting up the car with the recruiter in it. Should it be able to do that without the car being shredded with that much?
Yeah, I mean, the car would probably get mangled being picked up by the wrong place. But also, you just maybe does his suit like extend down to his legs, because otherwise all that weight is being held up by his human legs.
Yeah, his 2 feet.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. No, interesting.
That should have made the overpass collapse around that area, right? Or fracture.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because you have so much weight in one spot on such a small surface. I'm just saying, like, how does he hold it up with his feeble human legs?
But he's not feeble. The proportionate strength of the spider legs.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Doc Ock.
Oh no, I meant when Peter took control of his arms. Sorry.
Oh, I see.
And he was, which also like is kind of amazed me that he had such good control over the arm in that quick of a span.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So good news for Peter, but also bad news because now the Green Goblin shows up. Oh, the good news was that they're going to try to look at his admissions case again. Bad news, Green Goblin shows up. I know that the story is that these alternate universe villains crossed over because of the botched spell.
Right.
But how do they know where Peter is? They're just like showing up where he's at.
It's his Peter Tingle. They have a reverse Peter Tingle.
Maybe. So just as he's getting going, the Green Goblin gets sling-ringed or whatever. Slung-ringed. He gets portaled to a prison that Doctor Strange has set up in the basement of
the
New York City.
I was like, the
Sanctum.
Green Goblin.
No, Green Goblin didn't. Oh no, Green Goblin got away, didn't he?
Yeah, he got away because Aunt May was the one that found him.
That's right. Yeah, Doc Ock gets sling-ringed and Green Goblin gets away. Right. My bad. We get the explanation that the spell that they tried to do ended up pulling in anyone from any universe who knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Even though it's not the same Peter Parker.
Yep.
They got a lizard there in a cell already. So I guess he knows. This is where I started thinking about it.
But he didn't. That's the problem.
Yeah. But in some possibility of a universe, that lizard knows, right? So I don't know.
You're stretching, but it's fine.
Yeah, I hate multiverse stuff. Just wait till we get to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh yeah, I know.
I've got a whole rant I've been sitting on since we started the podcast, basically. So I got a little chuckle out of it.
I need you to capture them, bring them here, while I figure out how to get them back before they destroy the fabric of reality, or worse, Wong finds out.
I actually have that quoted to you.
I also kind of laughed at MJ lecturing Strange on magic words.
As of now, you have detected 0 multiversal trespassers, so get on your phones,
Scour the internet and Scooby-Doo this shit.
You're telling us what to do, even though it was your spell that got screwed up, meaning that all this is kind of your mess. You know, I know a couple of magic words myself, starting with the word please.
Please, Scooby-Doo this shit.
If anything, that was one of the things that made me a little sad about this movie was I do love Zendaya as MJ and Tom Holland. And I think the three of them have like really just great chemistry.
Yes.
Out of all the Peter Parker MJ combinations.
I agree. Yeah. I feel like it wasn't used in this movie correctly or enough though.
Yeah.
So Doctor Strange gives Peter a kind of I think it's called a vambrace. It's like a
gauntlet
arm.
But not
it's
really.
like a gauntlet, but it doesn't have the hand part, and it goes up to your arm.
Yeah.
Halfway up your arm.
It looks
so he
cool.
can use it does look cool. And he can use that to shoot a thing at the Green Goblin or any other multiverse villain that he comes across, and it'll teleport them to an empty cell that he has set up. So Ned tracks down where the Green Goblin might be. I don't remember how, it's not important. Octavius tells them who the Green Goblin really is. His name is Norman Osborn. But then he's like, he's dead according, in his universe, right? I guess that does explain why Lizard knows who Peter Parker is. There's definitely different universes, right?
Right.
Or lends credence to that theory anyway. I'm not exactly about to write a thesis on it.
Yes. Hard pass on that one. Just because in the movie he doesn't know. Even in that movie that he's in, he doesn't know.
Yeah. So Peter swings over to where they expect Osborn to be. Again, I don't know how this is, but it doesn't matter. Something about an energy signature. It's not important. In the next scene, Spidey's swinging down rows of power lines. I was going to science gripe about it, but then I lost steam halfway through.
Oh, I was
It's like,
actually like this. Does this scene have a lot of science grapes for you?
I was like, well, like, I hope that web is a good insulator. And then I was like trying to think about the chemicals from the first movie that were supposedly in it. And I'm like,
Right.
well, if there's any kind of conjugation that I'm like, I started like really thinking about it. I was like, it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
I was thinking more like
Moving
the
on.
electricity versus sand particles.
Oh, well, I mean, sand's a good insulator.
Oh,
Right.
it is? I thought
I
it
think
was
so.
it would have turned into like glass or something.
It depends on how hot it is. Yeah, like
Yeah.
if lightning strikes the ground, sure, it'll.
Uh,
I forget there's a name for that, but it's there's a mineral name for it where when lightning strikes the ground and it gets so hot that the sand melts and basically becomes glass.
Yeah.
Like if you can carefully dig it out, it is the shape of the lightning as it hit the ground.
Oh shit!
It
Really?
went into the ground. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's neat.
Look into that. There's a name for it. I don't remember what it's called, but
Dead Sandman.
oh, what suit is he in here? Is it the Night Monkey suit? It's like a black stealth suit.
Yeah, it is the Night Monkey suit because he had to take off, or I think it's the Night Monkey suit with like more paint. Remember the suit he was wearing in the beginning of the movie was not the iron
right
spider suit because he had paint thrown at him, so that was being washed. So I think he busted out the Night Monkey suit. And then I don't know. I don't understand all the duct tape to hold the phone in place because that makes no sense to me.
That was my complaint too. So he's got a phone duct taped onto his chest so that MJ and Ned can see what he's doing.
Yeah.
But the suit doesn't do that already. I mean, I guess the Night Monkey suit was made by like, I don't know, Chechenians or whatever.
It's one of his old suits though. It's like an old Shield repurposed suit or something.
Right. So I don't know. I would have thought that would have had the capability to transmit the video from the eyes of the suit or whatever, but apparently not. Or they just thought this would be a really hilarious gag. I did notice the same thing though.
Yeah.
The alternate universe villain here shows up, but it's not Green Goblin. It's Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2. Electro attacks Spider-Man, who tries to run away, and Electro almost gets him, but then Sandman shows up from not Amazing Spider-Man 3, double entendre intended. He shows up and he blocks the electricity.
Didn't he also call him Peter? I don't remember him.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he knew him as Peter Parker again.
In some universe,
right,
from that he's from, he knows that Peter Parker is. That's it was the same thing. I kept thinking that. I was like, I don't think that they knew.
Yeah.
But this is the problem with multiverse. Like you can just like whatever you want to happen. It's worse than magic. Whatever you want to happen, it's like, well, in some universe, this is what's going on. And then how are you supposed to like it's the laziest justification for anything.
Right.
I think that's my problem. I think I finally put it together. Just a lazy justification, like, well, in some universe, this is how it worked out.
Yeah. The part with Sandman is he like ends up helping him, right? But then he starts turning on him the moment he's like, what'd you do with him? And it's just like, you were helping him just a few seconds ago. What do you care?
Well, I think he was bugged out that he made him disappear, right? So Sandman stops the electricity. Peter gets a shot from his little Vanguard or whatever. Yeah, Van Brace. Thank you. How did you remember the word?
Oh, because you said it just earlier. It's stuck in my head because I wanted to look it up.
All right, cool. I hope that's a real word. So he zaps Electro into a cell, but as far as Sandman goes, he made him disappear, and it kind of bugs him out.
Right.
And then Peter zaps him into a cell. Back at the sanctum, in the basement cells, there's some exposition chatting amongst the trapped multiverse villains, in case you didn't know and see the movies that they were in before. I thought Lizard here, the animation of his mouth was comically hilarious. It was so bad. It looked like a cartoon. Oh, I don't really remember what it looked like in The Amazing Spider-Man, but it stood out here as
really bad. Yeah.
Being bad. Meanwhile, Norman Osborn is freaking out in an alleyway. He's got the Green Goblin mask off, but it's talking to him, telling him to do things. So he shatters it. Then he goes to the homeless shelter that Aunt May works at because he saw Spider-Man in an ad for that place. Because it's funny that he said that, because just before he said that, I was like, man, how did he even, isn't it a weird coincidence that he would go here?
Right.
So May calls Peter and he comes rushing over. Of course, Norman Osborn doesn't recognize him because it's not the same Peter Parker that he knows. But regardless, he wants Spider-Man's help. He's got nowhere to go. Someone else is living in his house. Oscorp doesn't exist. And it seems like he's having a psychological break of some sort. There was a lot of talk in this movie between May and Peter and other people about fixing the villains, like fixing these people.
I would have blown it. I would have pressed that button so fast.
Totally, right?
I don't know if it's just me. I don't know how woke we are, but I would have pressed that button and sent them to their universes pretty damn fast.
Yeah, totally. And
none of them seemed like upstanding citizens.
Exactly. And like, I don't know, you're interfering with timelines and I don't know.
Yeah.
But on top of that, like it seemed to me like they were trying to make this an allegory or an analogy to like for a mental awareness thing. Whereas like, these people, like they just need help. Right. And it didn't really hit for me because they're so obviously not good people. Right. It's not like, oh, this guy, he's bipolar and therefore he like built a Green Goblin suit and like, that's not what's going on.
Right.
So it to me, it seemed a bit like blaming mass shootings on mental illness, which is fucked up. Yeah. And I'm all for awareness. Like everyone should be, aware of mental health and I'm all for helping people who need it.
Right.
But don't make your comic book movie villains mentally ill. And that's why they're doing these things.
Right.
It's not like they just need some therapy and a clozapine, right?
Right. No one's forgiving a 9/11 bomber.
Exactly.
If just because they had a bad day. I think though, like I was thinking about this too. I think this movie was trying to set up the whole like with great power comes great responsibility thing, and they were trying to make the defeat so crushing, which they did. He lost. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
he does lose Aunt May. But then it's the whole like realizing what he has to shoulder despite having lost so much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you could argue he needs a mental health day.
Yeah, he could. He could use one. Now May drops Peter and Norman off at the New York City Sanctum. Introductions are made. Sandman fills Ock and Osborn in on their demises in his world. Then all the bad guys figure out that they were brought into this world just as they were about to die. But why? I don't know.
Feels like a good reason to make them not want to go back to their universe.
Yeah, well, that and like another, like you were saying before, a good reason to press that button and send them back because now you're changing the timeline.
This was the only part I was like, bad girlfriend MJ.
Oh, why? I forget, but she was like.
Remember, he hid her. He made her go away so that they wouldn't know where she was, and that if she didn't hear from him, she was supposed to press that button.
Oh, right.
Which, if she had, Aunt May'd be alive.
Yeah. Is that this part already? I forget.
I think it's in the scene.
It's coming up. Yeah. So, at first I thought you said he hit her.
No.
And I was like, I don't remember hitting her. That's definitely fucked up. Doctor Strange pops in and says that he's almost done figuring out how to reverse the spell. And this is where like the option to press the button comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Peter Parker says they can't send them back to where they came from because they're all going to die. Why? Just
right.
Let's not interfere. Just send them back. So I'm Team Strange on this one.
Also, I don't get why Doctor Strange made a button. Why didn't he just say one word to activate the spell exploding?
Well, because it fits the plot better this way.
Yeah.
I did like the line he says, he explains it.
In the grand calculus of the multiverse, their sacrifice means infinitely more than their lives.
Which sounds cold, but it's true. Like, how many people are going to die to save these 5 people? 4 characters? 5 characters? I've lost count already.
Right.
Who've done plenty of terrible things.
It's Thanos' philosophy on a bigger scale.
Yeah. Just as Strange is about to do his thing, press the button, Peter nabs the whatever box and runs off with it. Strange eventually catches Peter and takes him to the mirror dimension. Again, this is where I was like, I can't believe they're doing all of this when there's an entire Doctor Strange movie coming out in like 5 months.
Right.
Although to be fair, I did just watch that and there's not that much mirror dimension stuff in that, if any. So maybe they needed to get it in here.
You'd think that there would have been.
Yeah. Actually, I think there was one scene with the mirror dimension.
Yeah, but she escaped.
Yep. Through mirrors.
Yep.
So the chase continues in the mirror dimension. Peter's trying to explain that he wants to try to change all the bad guys' fate. Doctor Strange doesn't agree. I agree with Doctor Strange. So he's trying to escape from Strange with the box. And then I got my Black Panther 2 PTSD got triggered here. You know what I'm talking about? Where
the special effects not being up to par.
Not just that, but the nerdy line.
Wait a minute. Is that an Archimedean spiral? The mirror dimension is just geometry? You're great at geometry. You could do geometry. Square the radius. Divide by pi. Plot points along the curve.
Over, Parker.
I was going to ask you about this.
Yeah, which I hated because it reminded me of that line of Black Panther 2, and we'll cover it again when we get to that, though, where the, what her name's Ironheart or something?
Yeah.
Right? The one character, she's like, come on, use your differential equations. Talking to herself. So bad. But I have also a geometry gripe because square the radius and divide by pi, that is not something that you use in geometry. Oh. The area of a circle is the radius squared times pi. So I'm not sure how any of that helps him get away.
Wait, was there even an Archimedes circle or thing in there?
Yeah, I think the spiral. I think it was an Archimedes spiral. I think it was, but I didn't look into it that close. You
didn't measure the proportions to make sure it was or not?
Not yet. Now I might have to go back and do it. What was I saying? So I guess there must be a universe where that equation works because he figures it out and escapes the mirror dimension through a sling ring portal that Strange made that he was going to leave through because Strange was going to ditch Peter in the mirror dimension until he was done reversing the spell. But instead, Peter grabbed the box and Strange's sling ring and pieces out with another cringe line.
You know what's cooler than magic? Math.
Wait, you didn't appreciate that?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. It was the delivery was not great. Sorry, Tom Holland. And then I also have a continuity gripe because the sling ring portal closes on its own, which in my opinion it should do, but we've seen in other movies sometimes they just stay open indefinitely, like in the first Doctor Strange, there's that hospital fight, right? It's open for like 10 minutes or whatever, and he finally goes through. So it seems like they stay open or close immediately depending on whatever the plot needs, and I hate that.
Right? It's possible that it stays open as long as the wearer of the conjurer has the ring, but if the conjurer no longer has the ring, then it has no talent to. Peter,
Strange opened the portal. Peter took the sling ring from him. And it didn't close. He left.
It should have closed on him while he was.
I'd have to rewatch it. Maybe it was like super fast. Maybe that is what happened. So maybe I'll go and review it and be like, okay, it looks like that's the case. Or no, it was still open for a good long time.
I mean, if it closed when it was supposed to, you would have had half a Spider-Man in the mirror dimension.
Maybe there's a safety feature built into the sling ring where it won't close on somebody.
That's not true because it didn't happen in Infinity War.
That's right. It cut off what's his not Cull Obsidian, but
the big dude's arm. Yeah,
that's right.
See, Ant-Man and Wasp writers, man.
It's so funny because the very next thing I have in my notes is I think I might actually hate this movie, but it's not as bad as Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's the literal next note. So no surprise that the bad guys seem to be on board with Peter Parker trying to fix them rather than being sent back and left to die.
Right.
And Norman Osborn wants to help Peter fix them. Surely nothing will go wrong because Peter Parker's ideas are always great and totally work out every time. What did you think of Osborn recycling his line, "I'm something of a scientist myself," in this?
Oh, I liked it. I thought you were going to ask me about Happy's bachelor pad.
We can talk about that too, but let me, I didn't, what was I going to say? The original, "I'm something of a scientist myself" from the first Spider-Man, it's a great GIF and all that, but I felt like it was really shoehorned in here as obvious fan service.
I'm okay with it because it was William Dafoe.
At least it wasn't somebody else delivering the line.
If it was James Franco that came back as the Green Goblin, different story.
Yeah, that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Did you have something about Happy's bachelor pad?
Oh no, I thought that I wasn't sure where you were going when you said when you were asking me the question.
I think this is what you were talking about with MJ before. While MJ and Ned stay behind with the box, ready to press the panic button in case something goes awry, Peter takes all the villains to Happy's bachelor pad, which is where Peter and May have been crashing. Just a heads up, I have a lot of complaints here.
Oh, really?
Did you like this scene or something?
No. I'm curious now.
Okay.
I didn't really think anything of it outside of why would you take him to a 1-bedroom?
Yeah, there's a lot of why would you in this movie.
Yeah.
So using the fabricator from Far From Home, that's at Happy's place, Peter and Norman are going to fix the chip in Doc Ock's neck because apparently the chip is making him crazy.
Right.
Peter says the chip was fried, so instead of controlling the tentacles control him. As if that makes any sense at all. I hated that.
I mean that's a story. That's the storyline from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
it was a controller chip. Yeah,
it was dumb then. It's dumb here. Like first of all, if it's fried, it's just not going to work. And like a computer. Well, I mean, I guess we haven't seen how Neuralink is turning out, but so far,
nor will I volunteer to.
So far, a computer chip cannot take over a human. Oh, this really bothered me, actually. It was so stupid. When May asks Doc Ock if he wants a glass of water.
Thirsty?
Well, yes, I am thirsty.
Fresh water or salt? You know, because you're an octopus.
What?
Fresh water it is.
Like, how stupid is her character supposed to be? She's never been like ditzy like this before. She's a very, respectable, hardworking,
human being.
She's like a very well developed, well-rounded character in the first 2 movies, and now she's like this ditzy airhead for some reason.
Right.
I hated that. I did think it was funny though when Electro and Sandman were talking about how they got their powers.
How'd you end up like that anyway?
The place where I worked at, their experiment with electricity created by living organisms, and then I fell into a vat of electric eels.
You're kidding. I fell into a super collider.
Damn. Gotta be careful where you fall.
Yes.
I think it was good because it's just like a jab at the ridiculousness of their origins, but
right.
I did appreciate that. Then there's this scene. Sorry, this is still my list of complaints.
It's okay.
We're also getting through the scene in the meantime, but the part where Peter is putting the new chip together, they're putting leads on the chip, right?
Yeah.
Why is he putting the leads on? He's got a perfectly good robot arm there, already doing 98% of the work. It like brings the lead over and hands it to him, and then he grabs it with tweezers and very shakily puts it onto this chip. Just let the robot do it.
That's what the whole fabricator's for, right?
Yeah, that too. Yeah. And as if that's not dumb enough, when he's done, he totally manhandles it, like snatching it off the mount. He's like, done, and just like grabs it with his whole hand. So stupid. But I guess the chip is fine because he puts it in Otto's neck and he's all better now.
Hey, the voices are gone.
That was my next line.
Oh.
Very good. That's totally. I'm happy to have you deliver it. It was just that funny. I was just about to say that, and you said it. So now Doc Ock is going to help. Next, Peter makes a gadget to temper Electro's electricity, but something feels off, and he doesn't like it.
I mean, I don't get so the whole Electro thing where he's like, I like the energy here, and all of a sudden he's okay with getting his powers wiped out.
Yeah, I don't.
And then he actually can detect that the arc reactor is in the next room, and he's okay with it. Like, none of the motivations make sense. And damn Ant-Man and Wasp writers.
It's just
I don't get any of the motivations in this movie.
Yeah, a lot of this seems like a first draft. Jam in as much fan service as you can and Easter eggs. Like, that's all we need. It's fan service the movie.
Oh,
so then
it's falling pretty hard in the.
That's kind of like that's why I'm confused why it's so highly rated. Like I remember liking it more the first time I saw it.
Same.
For sure.
Yep.
And so I'm wondering, like, if the critics had seen it more than once, would they still be so high on it, or were they just so burned out on MCU stuff that this was different enough that they love it? I don't know.
It feels like there was a lot of patting themselves on the back about this is going to be such a cool scene.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, totally. There's a lot of that throughout this movie.
Yeah.
So then let's see. Something feels off, and because Peter gets a tingle. I know what I was saying. So the gadget is supposed to temper Electro's electricity. Peter puts it on him, and he doesn't like it. Something feels off. Peter gets a tingle, and then this scene gets drawn out for way too long.
Right.
He finally realizes that Norman is the Goblin again, minus the mask and the outfit. And Green Goblin tells the others that they aren't cursed, they have gifts. Then Peter tells May to run, and all the unfixed bad guys they bad guy out, and there's a big fight.
Right.
Electro blasts Otto out the window, but he catches himself so he doesn't die. And for some reason, I can never say his name.
J. Jonah
Jameson is outside with a cameraman. I don't know if that's important. I don't think it ended up being important though.
Oh, it is because they called the cops or something.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Because the SWAT team does show up later.
Yeah.
For some reason, Lizard was in a truck outside and he busts loose.
Oh, that was because nobody would be able to understand why a gigantic lizard was walking into the elevator. And
okay, I'll give you that one.
I mean, then again, Doc Ock had all those arms and stuff. So
it's cosplay.
Yeah.
So all the while that's going on, Spider-Man is fighting Green Goblin. I feel like this fight goes on for too long.
It was a good fight though. I'll say
it was all right. It was okay.
Yeah.
It's not the worst one I've seen.
Yes. But I mean, it did highlight how strong Green Goblin was.
Yeah. So I started griping about that because so like Green Goblin puts Peter Parker like through a cement, like a foot thick of cement floor, which I was like, okay, I guess he's super strong. And then the reverse happens. Peter Parker puts him through a cement floor, and it's like, shouldn't that kill him? But I guess he had his suit on underneath, and I don't know if he has superpowers or what. So I just I crossed that all out, but since it came up.
Yeah. I think there was a little bit of both. I can't remember if there was any kind of serum involved in the Green Goblin also.
And in some universe.
Right.
So the fight goes on a long time. At one point, May jabs Green Goblin with the antidote that they were preparing to fix him, but it doesn't work, which I think makes sense because probably Green Goblin was working on it, quote unquote, working on it, not really making it do anything. He calls his drone in and he blows up the building, mortally wounding Aunt May in the process. We don't know it yet. Definitely Peter doesn't know it yet.
No spider tingle.
No. In one of the other Spider-Man movies, I think I would have been more upset about this, but I was just fed up with the movie at this point. I felt almost nothing.
Oh man, I was really sad because I was like, I want to keep seeing Marissa Tomei in the MCU.
I do too, but like normally I think I would have gotten choked up, and that did not happen here.
It was the freshwater, saltwater line.
Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying. Like I was already fed up. I didn't have it in me to have a full feeling on it.
Got it.
What did you think though about her? So before she dies, she gives Peter Parker a little spiel. What did you think about her getting the great power and great responsibility line?
Good speech, wrong time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just kind of feel like if it were me that were gravely wounded, I would have been like, fuck them all up, man.
The ambulance.
Yeah.
That would be me.
Call me an ambulance and go fuck them up and send them back to their universe. Call MJ. Tell them to press that button that she should have pressed 3 hours ago when you didn't check in.
Yes. We'll get to that in a second. I thought it was fine that Aunt May said it. Right. I wish they had done it in the first movie, maybe even the second movie. At this point, we don't need it. Everybody knows the line. The whole thing that was great about the first movie is like, oh, we're not starting over. Uncle Ben is dead. We're not going to have that line. Yeah. But then they were like, I got this ace up my sleeve. We're going to play it here.
I think they were trying to force it because it did come in really handy a few scenes later when
that
the
is
other
true.
Spider-Man.
They do have a conversation about it later.
Yep. But again, this is why I'm saying like, hey, this is great. How do we make all three of them have the great power responsibility topic? How do we force that to come in?
Yeah, it's definitely forced. And again, I want to be clear. I have no problem that Aunt May said the line. This is not a sexist thing. I just didn't think we needed it, and we definitely didn't need it here.
If I were pretty much dying because of one of those villains, I don't think I'd be as comfortable in the moment. But maybe I just have screwy moral compass. I don't know.
In the end of this scene, Aunt May does die, and I was a little bit sad. It did give me a little bit when Peter realizes what's going on.
Yeah.
Then the SWAT team shows up and opens fire on Peter Parker, and he runs away.
Which, like, what the fuck? Why are you gonna open fire? You don't know what the situation is. You don't know if there are hostages.
Innocent people in there. Yeah.
Yeah. There are people who should be fleeing for their lives because it's an apartment complex.
Yeah. It's been a few episodes since I've said ACAB. One last complaint here. What's up with MJ and Ned? This is what you were saying. Like, Peter Parker didn't check in once.
Right.
Why didn't they push the button? The whole thing was like, if we don't hear from you, we're going to push the button.
Right.
Didn't happen. Actually, but Peters was like, if you don't hear from me, push the button. Right.
Right.
They didn't do it. So then,
and then they saw the news and they still didn't push the button.
Yes. So that's the next scene. What are Ned and MJ up to? They're chilling at his grandma's place. His Lola, I guess. Is that?
Yes, his Lola. The Filipino word for grandmother.
Yep. And then they're waffling over whether to press the button or not. And MJ says Peter told them to wait. That is not my recollection. I remember him saying.
Literally heard him say, press it if you don't hear from me.
I meant to actually go back and double check. I did not, but since you remember the same thing as I did, I'm going to assume we're both right.
Maybe double check just to be safe.
Okay.
Because I was pretty mad when I was like, you know what could have like sidestepped all of this if she had pressed the button.
Yeah, totally. So I will say I'm going to go back and check, and George and I were right. Or nope, George and I were wrong. So I guess they get a pass on this one, and I'll fix it in post. So I checked, and Peter does tell MJ that he will text her if he needs to push the button. But then a few moments later, she says, if I don't hear from you, I'm pushing the button. So I'm counting this as George and I being right. Where was I? We were talking about, okay. So if he did, let's say that he did tell her to wait, that's dumb. Because what if he was unconscious or dead, right?
Right.
Well, which does actually sound on brand for Peter Parker.
Yeah. And what if and then Electro would have gotten even stronger, and this world now has a Doc Ock, and well, Doc Ock was good, but this world now has a Green Goblin and a bunch of other threats that nobody knows about.
I also don't like what's about to happen here, but it does finally get us out of what is the worst part of this movie. So here we go. Ned wishes aloud to see Peter and uses the sling ring to open a portal. Is there like comic book precedent for Ned being like having some kind of wizardry or whatever? I feel like they
tease it in the comic books, apparently.
Okay.
That he's got like some mysticism in him. I don't know. I don't think it was ever to this extent, but
yeah, I just don't like. They very clearly established in the first Doctor Strange how difficult it was to open a sling ring portal. And on top of that, they doubled down on it in the next movie, in Multiverse of Madness at the end, where America Chavez is trying to use it.
Doctor Strange, one of the most talented mystics in the universe, took how many hours in the movie to figure it out, right?
So that really bothered me. That was stupid. While editing and looking into some other stuff, I realized that we overlooked an important clue from earlier in the movie. When Peter, Ned, and MJ first go to the New York City Sanctum, the scene ending in "Please, Scooby-Doo this shit." When they first walk in, Ned asks Doctor Strange how he knew that he was a man of magic. Then Ned says something to the effect of his Nana says that they have it in their family, and sometimes he gets this tingling in his hands. Strange tells him to talk to his physician, which is kind of funny. So they dropped that hint pretty early on. I would say that this has zero effect on our ranking, though. Regardless, it opens up. In the portal, they see a Spider-Man and call out to him as Peter.
Right.
But it's amazing Peter Parker, Andrew Garfield. It is kind of cool when he comes through the portal and takes his mask off and you see who it is.
I liked it.
It does make me happy. It did also make me realize how much I do like that Peter Parker.
He's great.
The Amazing Spider-Man movies are not good, especially the second one.
Yes.
But I do like Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker.
Yeah. I really liked all three of them. I think we had the first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. Talking about who is the best one. I still like Tom Holland the best. This Peter Parker somehow ended up in their world yesterday. I don't know why. I did also enjoy this part where he's trying to convince them that he's Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And like MJ's like, cling to the ceiling or whatever. Like told him to do all that stuff.
She's throwing pandesal at him, the bread rolls.
Yes. Did she throw that? Yeah, she wanted to see if he had a tingle.
Yes. He's like, that's not how this works.
He's really, really good in this. I really like Andrew Garfield in this.
Yeah.
This from here on out, the movie is so much better. I still have problems. It sucks that it had to be such a shit movie up to this point to get us to this part. I wish they just completely did something different.
It's like, did they tag team the movie how are we going to get up to this point, which is where we put all of our effort into the writing?
Right. And then they were like, let's put every idea we have into it.
Right.
So then Tobey Maguire shows up, his Peter Parker shows up, which I had recalled them waiting longer for that reveal, but it happens like almost immediately afterwards.
Yeah, I also, for some reason, I also thought it was maybe another scene after.
Yeah.
But it actually is in the same scene where they go, let's see if we can do it again.
Yeah, let's try again. Yeah. Because always a good idea to make the same mistake a number of times.
Right.
I guess it does work out here though. So for in-movie canon or whatever, why do 3 Peter Parkers look so different? Or pretty different for white dudes anyway.
Or in-movie canon?
I'm just saying, like, a Doc Ock from another universe came through. It looks like the Doc Ock from the first movie.
Right.
Right. And so on. So like there's 3 Peter Parkers. Why do they not all look like Tom Holland? Don't get me wrong. Would be boring for the movie.
Right.
Would not be nearly as cool, but it doesn't make sense from what's been established.
I would have been super happy if they'd had Miles Morales pop up.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Right. Because I think ideally it would be really good if there was one eventually, a live action Miles Morales movie.
Yep.
Or like Oscar Isaac as Spider-Man 2000 or 2000 or 2099.
Oh, is that from the multiverse movie?
It's from the Spider-Verse movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
But I don't know the answer to your question. I think they just did it.
Yeah.
I think it
wasn't, I didn't really expect to have an answer. I was just like,
I think it was just fan service.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was really great fan service. I do love all 3 of those Spider-Man.
This is about the only fan service in the movie I think that pays off.
I agree with you there.
And it was like everything else was in service of this fan service.
Actually, no, I don't agree with you. There's one other scene that I love a lot, but it's coming up later.
All right. I might agree with you. I might be forgetting something. We'll see.
Yes.
Those 2 Peter Parkers, Ned and MJ, all reason that the other Peter Parker might be taking some time to himself at the top of some building from an earlier part of the movie that we skipped over. I'm not going to go back and rehash that. But there's some spot he likes to hang out. Yeah. They find him up there, and now the Tom Holland Peter Parker wants to press the button. But the other 2 Peter Parkers convince him otherwise. So with renewed vigor, the team is going to cure all the bad guys because that's what they do. They divvy up the work, deciding who's going to deal with who.
Wait, so I guess, when did they convince him not to pull the plug? Was it with the great power comes a great responsibility?
Yeah, that was where I think that's where they had it's like, it's like, oh, my Uncle Ben said that.
Because if he had convinced them to push the button and they'd all gone back to their respective universes, then Doctor Strange wouldn't have had to make the forgetting spell, right?
Right.
But then everybody would know that he was Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't know. So there's probably a lot of bad movie science stuff going on here, but I was too mentally exhausted to take note of it all.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, they do the 3 Spider-Man pointing GIF thing.
I did like that.
It's fine, yeah. The plan is, and this is for real, they're going to have a big fight at the Statue of Liberty. So Tom Holland, Peter Parker, announces on J. Jonah Jameson's, hey, I did it, show where he's going to be. But only the bad guys he wants to show up are going to show up.
Right.
No other ones.
Not the military.
Not
the other superheroes in New York.
Yeah.
Only you guys that came over from a different universe.
Makes total sense. So then we go to the Statue of Liberty, and I had to laugh. I think there was a comment about it earlier, and I didn't take it seriously, and I had forgotten that they're putting a Captain America shield on the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. When did that happen? I can't remember. Was that ever spoken about in another movie?
There was a line earlier on, I forget what it was, but I remember somebody saying like, that's like them putting the Captain America shield on the Statue of Liberty. And I thought it was just like a line or somebody was like, if they did that, but that's what's actually happening in this movie, which
makes no sense to me.
It also looks like they're putting it on the arm that's holding up the torch.
Oh, I thought it was on the other. I thought it was on the one.
That would make more
closer to her
sense.
chest.
That would make more sense, but I don't know. I could be misremembering. Anyways, bad plan.
Right. Which one? The plan or the shield on
both
Statue of Liberty?
But they needed. I mean, I guess they needed scaffolding all around the Statue of Liberty for this fight. I feel like they could have just done it somewhere else or had a different reason. Maybe during some other fight, some other alien invasion or supervillain, whatever thing, the Statue of Liberty got damaged. Or maybe they're just polishing it up because it looked copper again, because the Statue of Liberty is made out of copper. When it first showed up, it was like a brand new penny, right? And it looks like they had taken all the copper oxide off the outside. So maybe they were just cleaning it up. Anyways, I'm rambling. Before any of the bad guys show up there, the 3 Peter Parkers talk some more about web fluid and villains they fought and stuff. It's fine. I kind of just wanted to get on with the movie at this point. And I don't know about you, but my eyes rolled all the way back in my head when Tobey Maguire Peter tells Andrew Peter, "You are amazing. You are amazing." He says it like 3 times, like bludgeoning you over the head with yes, it's the amazing amazing Spider-Man. We get it.
I don't think I caught that one.
Oh man, he practically turned to the camera and winked. They discuss how to identify which Peter. This also bothered me. They discuss how to identify which Peter is which when they're talking to one another, because they're I guess they all have communicators in their suits that work together. And this is probably my OCD, but it bothers me that Andrew Garfield is Peter 3.
Right.
He showed up before Tobey Maguire. He should be 2.
Right.
And did they even use the numbering system at all after that?
Nope.
I didn't think so.
Not that I remember, because they don't ever go Peter 3, Peter 2.
I don't, certainly not in a way that mattered because I don't remember it at all.
Also, it would take too long, I feel like, to identify. Just be like,
yeah, I would forget who was who.
Yeah. Especially if you came up with it just before the battle.
Right. Finally, it's go time. Electro is after the box, which our Peter Parker has, but then he throws it to MJ through a portal that Ned made.
Right.
Why?
I don't even know why you had to have it there in the first place.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, why didn't he just leave it with Ned and MJ to begin with? Because now Ned can't close the portal because he's a noob wizard and they don't close on their own, apparently, even though sometimes they do.
Right.
I also, Electro here he has like a suit now, which I liked a lot better than just being the weird blue skin.
Right. Because he has to tap into the arc reactor.
Yeah. So
which doesn't make sense because then he was just sitting there pulling power from the power lines and he wasn't attached to those.
Yeah. I'm not going to try to make sense of it.
Yeah.
I did like the suit though. And it's powered by the arc reactor that he stole from Happy's place.
I don't know if you noticed, but there were the electricity around his head does like a quick little flash that looks like a weird electrical thing on his head.
Huh.
Because that's what his mask looks like in the.
Is it like a comic book thing? All right, interesting. Yeah. I did not see that. I will.
It was like super brief. I was like, oh, cool. They actually nodded towards the comic.
I will potentially get a screen grab of that and see if I can find the comic book picture that that inspired it. Maybe I'll put that in.
Yeah, so I can send it to you.
I will. Oh, great. I will put it in then, or else I will cut out this part of the conversation. Lizard and Sandman show up, and there's lots of swinging and jumping and fighting. Sandman gets cured first, and the cure apparently includes putting clothes on him.
Oh, of course. his you didn't know his sand was made out of his green shade, his green shirt, and
I guess maybe that could have happened. I mean, who knows what happens in a super collider?
The lizard also gets his clothes back.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. So Ned still can't close that portal, and Lizard sees it open. He goes through. He chases Ned and MJ out under the scaffolding around the Statue of Liberty. So that whole thing was to get Ned and MJ out so that there's some stakes here. It was stupid. Octavius bails out one of the Spider-Men when Electro was about to do him in. I couldn't tell you which Spider-Man it was. I lost track. I couldn't tell who was who.
Oh.
Were you able to tell them apart?
I feel like I did. Mostly because I could tell from the insignias on there. But then when they were moving really fast, it does become harder.
If they were stopped and talking, I could tell who it was. But other than that, I was like, it's a Spider-Man. I don't know which one. So I don't understand what happened here, though, with Lizard. He's stopped for a second and like a slinging portal opens above him for some reason and water pours out, knocking him down. So I guess Ned did that. I don't know.
I'm forgetting this part of the battle.
Yeah, I don't know. The movie needs to make up its mind if Ned can actually do this shit or not. It's like it's way too goofy and inconsistent. It really bothers me. Anyways, that gave some other Peter maybe the chance to hit Lizard with the cure for him.
Mm-hmm.
And as you correctly pointed out, his cure also includes clothes. Very considerate of them. Ned opens another portal. Stop, Ned. And Doctor Strange steps through.
Right.
Why? I don't know. None of this works like it should in previously established movies, but whatever. Strange obviously wants him to hit the button on the box. He's the only one being realistic about this whole thing. But before he can, Green Goblin shows up and manages to throw a bomb into the box and blow it up. I guess, apparently.
The pumpkin. Somehow the pumpkin bomb got into the...
Are they pumpkins? I never noticed.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a pumpkin. They're orange colored, or at least. And then in the comic books, they look like they're pumpkins. But in the movies, they have this techno look feel to them. But they're green and orange.
I mean, if it straight up looked like a tiny pumpkin, that would probably be a little bit stupid.
Right.
But I do like that. I like that little detail, though, that they're pumpkins in the comic book.
But didn't he decide not to? Wasn't he kind of on Peter's side about rehabilitating them after he saw the lizard get cured?
Maybe. All I know is that like there was some talk about hitting the button, and then before anybody could actually make a decision, the box gets blown up.
Right.
Which is bad because the fabric of reality is breaking apart. I skipped something. So when the bomb blows up, the Captain America shield breaks off, fucks everything up. MJ almost falls to her death, but Amazing Spider-Man saves her, and so he gets a little bit of a redemption. He was able to save that MJ when he couldn't save his own.
I just looked this up, but apparently Spider-Man No Way Home was referenced, or Far From Home was referencing the Captain America shield on the...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently there were news clips, and I think in this movie, there's a poll that shows how many Americans were against the Captain America shield being on the...
That's what I remember from this movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a lot?
Apparently most people weren't.
I love Captain America. Not that he's real, but if somebody wanted to put that on the Statue of Liberty, I'd be like, that's a dumb idea. Don't do that.
Right. It makes no sense.
Yeah. If he was Captain Liberty, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So bad news for everybody. The fabric of reality is breaking apart, or the fabric between universes or something. Strange now gets to work trying to fix that while Tom Holland Spider-Man fights the Green Goblin. He blows up Goblin's glider with one of his own bombs, and then they both end up on the ground in the overturned giant Captain America shield. That's probably a metaphor for something. I don't know.
The fall of America.
So here's another stupid thing. Just as our Peter Parker is about to face off with Green Goblin, he goes from he's standing up, right, ready to fight him, and he goes down and he crouches down and like holds a superhero 3-point position, like he just landed from jumping.
The Black Widow pose.
Yes, like such a poser, disgusting. Then he puts a beat down on Osborn, which looked pretty cool, and he's pretty mad. He's basically going to kill Green Goblin with his own glider. He's going to looks like he might take his head off with it.
Right. Ironically, that's how he died in the first Spider-Man movie.
Is it? I don't remember.
He got stabbed by his own glider.
Oh. But old Peter, Tobey Maguire, stops Tom Holland Peter from going through with it. And then he's immediately stabbed in the back by Green Goblin, the Tobey Maguire Peter. Classic Green Goblin move.
Right.
The Amazing Spider-Man tosses the unstabbed Peter Parker the Green Goblin cure, and he does the right thing. And now Osborn shows some remorse. Tobey Maguire is going to be okay, but Strange is losing control of the Strange is losing control of the fissures in the universes that are appearing since the box got blown up. So this is where you can see a lot of, I guess, Easter eggs, the villains in the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
Did you look at that at all any closer? There's one shot. I got a whole bunch of.
I didn't want to blow yours up without looking without you.
You are welcome to blow me up anytime. So here, like every one of these little dots is a villain, I guess, or somebody in some multiverse. There's a lot of them there. And then the one that I saw, I could easily identify. Were there any that jumped out to you during this whole thing, by the way?
No, none at all. I mean, I just didn't pay attention to the silhouettes at all.
So like you get some close-ups later.
Yeah.
That one was obvious to me.
That's Craven.
Yeah, that's Craven. And then I just looked more closely, and this one was pretty obvious after I looked more closely.
Dormammu?
Rhino.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's 2 arms and the horn. It was hard to get screenshots that really show it. Like when you see it move a little bit, it's a much better view. But there's Rhino, and then I might need to consult my notes on the rest of these. This one. So from here on out, I didn't really know, and so I started looking into like Reddit stuff and what people thought these were. This one might be Superior Spider-Man, which I guess is a Doc Ock body swap.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
Dr. Octopus jumps into his body, and they swap bodies, and he becomes Spider-Man for a while.
Okay. I think the other one, there was another one where it was like just a different Peter Parker in an Iron Spider suit. Somebody said it might have been, but it didn't seem like
Spider or something.
Yeah, it didn't seem villainous enough to me. But whatever, I don't know anything. This one is a little more obvious when you know it. That's like a stinger on a tail.
It is. Oh, the Scorpion.
Scorpion. Yeah. And then I got one more. And there's a bunch, but these are the only ones I could get good screenshots of, and then that made any sense. This one doesn't even. I don't even know on this one, to be honest.
Who's that supposed to be?
It's supposed to be, supposedly, it's Black Cat.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. That could be anyone.
Yeah, it just looks like a silhouette of a normal person.
Right? So, I don't know. But supposedly it's Black Cat. I don't know. That according to like Reddit or something. Here's another thing about this dumb premise. All these villains from other universes, are they just like so rabidly anti-Peter Parker that when a rift in space-time opens up in front of them, they jump straight through because he might be there? Like,
is there like a sign on the rift too that says, get your revenge now?
Peter Parker this way.
Right. Also, it's just weird that like only the villains are coming through. He's got like a bunch of friends too. So why don't they?
They should come through to back him up. Well, maybe, I don't know. I guess maybe that's why the other 2 Peter Parkers are there. That still doesn't make sense to me, but
yeah,
I guess they were all lined up and ready to go. Like they were at some kind of Peter Parker arch enemy convention.
Right.
Anyways, back to the plot here. Tom Holland, Peter Parker suggests making everyone forget who Peter Parker is. And then they'll stop coming for Peter Parker. This is another thing I hate about magical wishing. Like, do you need to consider other universes when casting the spell? Because I feel like if he makes everyone forget who Peter Parker is, then that's also going to affect the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield Peter Parkers as well, right?
That's the part that makes no sense about the spell to begin with. It was supposed to be just for this universe. And I guess because he kept on changing the parameters of the spell, it included all the other universes. So does that mean he left those other universes alone, and just this universe forgot who he was?
I don't know.
None of this makes sense to me.
It's a pretty weak premise. So anyways, Doctor Strange starts doing his thing while Tom Holland, Peter Parker says his goodbyes, starting with Strange. Reluctantly, I admit that I did like the part where Strange tells him to call him Steven.
Yeah, better go and say your goodbyes. You don't have long.
Thank you, sir.
Call me Steven.
Thank you, Steven.
Yeah, still feels weird.
And I guess we kind of skipped over a part earlier on when he calls him Steven and said it, and he was like, that sounds weird. But,
right. I thought those happened to be like some of the lines I like in the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Tom Holland, Peter Parker tells MJ and Ned that he'll find them and tell them everything and make them remember him. And her reaction did trigger a mild emotional response in me, I will say. It was
whose reaction?
Sad. MJ's response. She's like, I'm not going to remember you. Like, she seems very upset by it. How is this spell going to work though? Like, sure, certainly there's pictures of them together and stuff. Is he going to disappear in the pictures? Like, you know,
I assume it just disappears because even all the video footage of J. Jonah Jameson, all the Mysterio stuff.
So all that's gone. Is J. J. Jonah Jameson, is he going to be like, what happened to like this 2 weeks of footage that we had? Like, I don't even remember what that was about. Why did we not have anything on air for 2 weeks straight? right? I don't know. How is this?
Or maybe they're only going to remember everything except the Spider-Man mention.
I guess. I don't know. It's pretty.
It's going to be 2 weeks of a slow news day.
Man, I'd kill for 2 weeks of slow news.
Same, man.
Once the spell is cast, the other universe folks return to their other universes. And MJ, like right when the forgetting is starting to happen, MJ mouths, "I love you" to Peter. That got me a little bit. I get a little bit of goosebumps on my scalp right now thinking about it.
I don't get why he had to go had to swing away. He should have just stayed there and just been like,
it could have been like, hey, okay, you just had your memory wiped of me, but
right.
Would have been a perfect time to do it.
Like, you're here because it was a gigantic fight.
What did Ned and MJ think they were doing there?
Nobody knows.
Yeah, so weird.
It was their fault the shield fell down and broke.
I'd be like, oh, fuck, what did we do? We got to get out of here. Was I blackout drunk again?
Right. Doctor Strange, too.
Sometime later, Peter goes to find MJ at the donut shop that she works at. And he has a little spiel all worked out to tell her, but he bails on it at the last second. I guess he assumes that she's safer not knowing him. I don't really know. And then I thought, what if Ned and MJ start hooking up?
No.
They're pretty close. You don't think it's going to happen?
I mean, they are close, but that's he looks pretty firmly in the friend zone there.
Yeah, I guess so. Certainly for their age, he's definitely friend zoned.
Yep.
Peter visits Aunt May's grave, and Happy walks up. And just as I was thinking, like, what does Happy think happened here? Like he was just arriving at the building when it got blown up. So I was also wondering, what does I was wondering what he thought. What does he think now about how he met Aunt May? But then like him and Peter talk for a minute, and he's like, I met her through Spider-Man. I was like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense.
Right.
So people remember Spider-Man, they just forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Right.
And they just forget Peter Parker altogether. Then we see Peter Parker get his own place in the city. Did you see that mattress, dude?
So sad.
Oh, it was disgusting. You got to get a new mattress. Do not sleep on that. You're going to get herpes from it. And then it looks like he's studying for his GED. Like we discussed, he doesn't really need to, but he's an over-preparer. He's making a new Spidey suit in his spare time. I don't really like it. It's kind of a weird iridescent blue.
It's just old. It's like the old, like bright blue one. I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, it's not good. But I guess he's gonna try to go back to being the neighborhood-friendly Spider-Man. Then we get a mid-credit stinger. I forgot about this Venom stinger. So I guess Sony and the Marvel worked out some kind of deal where they had to put this in because Venom isn't MCU.
Right.
But he's like at a bar or whatever. I guess he was pulled through at some point. He's just,
I don't really like this version of Venom. So
it's not great. It's not great.
Yeah.
So then at the end of the scene, he disappears. He gets pulled back into his universe or whatever. But there's like a little bit of symbiote that got left behind. I don't know why, because it came from that universe. But was any of that addressed in, I guess, the third Venom movie, which I didn't bother to see? I'm not even sure I watched the second one.
I've seen clips on YouTube, and nope.
Okay.
Nor was the Vulture being in that universe, because the Vulture in this the Vulture is now in the Venom universe, isn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Because that's how he escaped. Or I guess I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but he gets pulled into that universe, which is like makes no sense to me.
They should have put him in this.
Yeah, he should have totally been in this movie.
Yeah. Then there's a post-credit stinger, quote unquote, but it's basically a trailer for Multiverse of Madness, and I prefer my stingers to be stingers. All right, that then brings us to changes. Do you want to go first here, or
you can go?
All right.
It sounds like you have a lot, and I probably agree with a really big chunk of yours.
I don't have a lot, but it covers a lot. So I don't. This is not a good movie. There's some things I would change. I would retcon that entire Far From Home mid-credit stinger and find some other way to bring the 3 Spider-Men together. And this movie would be shorter that way too. So that's my biggest change probably, and that's like the first half of the movie.
I was about to say exactly that. The first half of this movie just needs to be rewritten.
Yeah, just come up with something different. I mean, I know that changes where I'm supposed to propose a change. I don't have one. If given enough time, I could come up with something, but I don't. I really dislike the first half of this movie, the whole premise. Once we get the 3 Spider-Men, it is better. I wish that there was more of Martin Starr and Hannibal Buress in it. They're in it for like a cameo, basically.
Oh, right.
And more Flash too, for that matter. There's almost no school stuff in this movie.
Yeah, all the important parts of Peter Parker.
Yeah,
that they should have highlighted a little bit more.
Yeah, and then I think if you want to keep this movie the way it is, basically, I think it could have just been a 45-minute holiday special. They could have put all the dumb bullshit in, and it would have played just fine. Because it's a holiday special. It's fun. You can let a lot of things go.
Yeah, you could have just left it at, hey, there's a big change in this holiday special. The spell wrecked everything, and now nobody knows who Peter Parker is.
Yeah,
or nobody knows who Spider-Man is.
It would have been easier to accept, I think, for me. But
yeah,
who knows? Alternate universe me is somewhere bitching about this dumb holiday special. So, did you have anything in addition to that?
No, I mean, I really liked parts of this movie, but everything that I liked was in the second half of the movie.
Yeah.
I forgot to get back to one of my favorite scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Which was MJ falling. Maybe me and a bunch of nerds read too much into it, but when the Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, went to save her, and it looked like he was happy that he was able to save, like he had finally had some closure on some trauma from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie that he made.
Yeah.
Where he wasn't able to save Gwen Stacy, but here he was able to save MJ.
I appreciated that. I didn't need it.
Well, I mean, it goes back to all of the writing leading up to all of this happening.
Right.
Just really ruins all of these. Could have been spectacular. Really could have been really great, right? Like if there was just some really good reason for the two of them, Ned and MJ, being there in the first place, except for this random the lizard chased them into the battlefield for no reason. I feel like it would have been better earned. There's a lot of unearned fan service that I feel like happened.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, that's how I do like seeing the 3 Spider-Men together, and I think that it sounds like there's potentially a movie where the 3 of them do get together, or at least one of the other 2.
Oh, really?
Start coming in, supposedly.
I know there's a 4th one in the works. I'm not psyched for it at all.
I know part of me is just like, just leave it alone, guys.
Yeah.
But if the rumors are true and Black Cat's in this next one, that might be interesting, because now Peter Parker doesn't, and MJ aren't together and they don't know each other, or she doesn't know who he is. Mm-hmm. But then the whole Black Cat and the symbiote also is another potential storyline. We'll see. It could have been so much better if the fan service parts that were so great were just earned.
Yeah, I feel like they should have not tried to get so much fan service in.
Yeah,
but
it's like they were trying to hype up Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being in the movie, which they didn't have to, because they would have been great if they just had made it like an earned thing.
Yeah, totally agree. Moving on to ranking. Rotten Tomato scores. It's 93% with the critics, 7.9 out of 10, 96% with the audience, 4.7 out of 5. If we look at just the top critics, it drops to 90%, 7.4 out of 10.
That's still really high.
It's still really high.
Jeez.
And the verified audience, so get rid of the trolls, it's like 97%. It's basically the same score. That's wildly high to me. I don't get it. This was clearly not for me.
Is it like inflation where like you watch a movie and it's and it makes X amount of money, but in like US dollars now it's way more
in memory dollars.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, I just think that I think it's because it was the 3 Spider-Men. I think it comes down to that, and it's at the back half of the movie, so the better half is in the end, so you walk out of there kind of high on it.
Right.
That's the only thing I think of. But
I mean, it's a great popcorn movie. the first time around for sure, but just watching it again.
Yeah. So I tried to think about why I dislike this movie so much.
I think we just talked about it.
Yeah. I think it's I think part of it's sequel fatigue. I'm also tired of Peter being a fuck up. He fucks up worse every time, and at some point he's got to learn. And like this is the worst one. This one was totally selfish, and Aunt May died because of it. That is his fault.
But he's supposed to also be one of the smartest people in the Marvel universe. Yeah, like he's a kid that's brilliant, right? In all the different Spider-Man universes, he's also a brilliant scientist, and yet he makes these stupid mistakes.
Right. It bothers me. I'm tired of that. And yeah, it just feels like they tried to build a movie around fan service. It's Spider-Man Easter eggs, the movie.
Right.
The plot is there in service of the gimmicks.
It reminds me of, was it Star Wars 8? Or was it 9? Which was the one with the even bigger Death Star?
I don't know. Probably 9. 9 was the worst.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned anyway. I did have, hold on. I have another picture in the notes for you because I found this and I felt that like it related to this part here. So this is a Variety article from December 29th, 2021. The headline, Spider-Man No Way Home screenwriters explain all those surprises and spoilers. This wasn't just fan service.
It's like, if you have to explain it, it was. I didn't see this article. That's funny.
I just saw that like yesterday for some reason. I don't remember how I found it. I was looking for something else and I was like, oh my God, they're saying the opposite of what is true.
So it's so timely. Good find. Now I really want to read this.
If anybody wants to read the article, I'll put a link in the show notes though. Did you have any general overall ranking comments, or did you want to just dive into where it goes in the list?
I'm wrestling where in the D tier it is.
Okay, so you agree with me that it is D tier.
Yeah, our rule is even if you bump something down, that doesn't necessarily throw it into the F tier, right?
That's correct. You just expand that tier. So in the D tier right now, there's only 3 movies from number 25 at the bottom, Iron Man at the bottom of the D tier. Iron Man 3, then Thor the Dark World, then Iron Man 2. All solid D tier.
No, totally solid. Yeah.
So,
I think my main thing is where in the D tier, and I think it's in the higher part of the D tier than it is the lower half.
Okay.
I don't hate it as much as Iron Man 3.
Well, it's either going high, medium, or high, middle, or low. Oh, I guess we'll have 4 in there. Anyways, so I was thinking new number 24, which is below Thor 2
That's
and above
actually
Iron
exactly
Man 3.
what I was thinking.
Okay.
Because Iron Man, because I didn't hate Iron Man 2. I wasn't a fan of certain parts of it.
I liked it so much better when we watched it for this than I ever had in the past.
Right, exactly.
Whereas this, I continue to find more and more faults with it.
Right. I mean, especially talking this out with somebody else that had rewatched it has definitely knocked it down. Like, I think going into it, I was expecting it'll probably be in the high C's, but as we talked through and as I was taking my notes down, it just kept on just slipping more and more.
I expected you to. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was really just curious whether or not it was going to be better if we were going to both like it better than Far From Home. But Far From Home had a lot of spots that I really liked.
Yeah, no, Far From Home is better, is a better movie for sure.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to push for probably low C tier. I didn't think you would like it better than Far From Home, but I thought you were going to push for C tier. So, all right. So I think we're in agreement that it's the new 24.
I think it's the new 24. Yeah.
All right. Spider-Man No Way Home is the new number 24, which means that Infinity Saga Trivial Pursuit Poker is just for fun, and George's wife is disappointed once again. We had a good debate in the last full episode.
For Shang-Chi?
Yes. Oh, was it or Eternals?
Eternals.
Yeah. Okay, so it is my turn to bid first. Let's read the questions. And then I will bid.
That's the combat seat, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. If you're gonna be in the combat seat, then you got to be willing to blast up on some carries. Because with great power comes great responsibility.
I feel good on 4, and I think I might have 5.
Oh,
since it doesn't matter, I think I might go with 5. Unless you
let's do 5. I thought 4.
Okay. Maybe I should have said 4 and then let you not outbid me. Let me send you the the answers. I mean, what are we on? 36. It is upside down so that it's harder for me to read.
There we go.
On accident.
I see it.
Okay. Ready when you are.
All right. Using his Tesseract technology, how fast does Howard Stark surmise the Red Skull could wipe out the entire seaboard of the United States?
This one's a total guess. I had no idea on this one. 2 days.
Wrong. I totally don't know this either. It was 1 hour.
Oof. Okay. That's
I don't know
fast.
how you would do that unless you just blow up the entire seaboard.
Now maybe that was the thing. Well, then it would be like 1 second.
Right. So that's why it didn't make sense to me. What reason does Drax give for not wearing the flying device that Rocket created?
How exact do I have to get the phrasing on this? Because I want to say that
as long as you mention one word, I think I'm okay with it.
It chafes his nipples.
Yep. He has sensitive nipples.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yep. Totally. Nope. That's one. Okay. What phrase is on the bumper sticker of the car that speeds by Camp Lehigh in the alt 1970s timeline just before Steve Rogers and Tony Stark arrive?
I think I know this one. Is it Make Love Not War?
No.
Farts?
No. I apparently. Do you have another guess?
No, I don't.
Apparently it was Nuff Said. I don't remember that at all.
I don't either. Okay, well, I guess I didn't get it, but let's keep going.
Yeah. Wait, did you bet 5 or 4?
I bet 5.
You bet 5. What item stolen by S.H.I.E.L.D. does Thor return to Dr. Jane Foster?
It was her notebook, right?
Yes, exactly that. Her notebook. All right, so that's 2 so far?
Yes.
All right, let's see. What Eastern European city are Pietro and Wanda Maximoff from?
Are they from Sokovia?
Is that your guess?
That's my guess.
Exactly that.
Okay. I was
Sokovia.
like, I feel like I remember the whole end of Ultron, Age of Ultron happened because like some church in Sokovia that they were familiar with or something. I forget. So that was kind of a guess, but I was pretty sure on that.
Yep. No, I mean, it was kind of a guess for me too, but I was pretty sure it was Sokovia because that's where the Avengers starts off, right? Because they were raiding something there, and then the twins were there.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
Anyway, you got it right.
All right, last one.
What sort of lock does General Dreykov have that prevents the widows from harming him?
The grossest one, pheromone lock.
Yes, pheromone lock. But you still lose because
that
was
lose
4 out of 5.
Have any of us flat out lost like that before? I feel like it must have happened before where somebody flat out lost before. Probably me.
Could have been me.
But anyways, not bad. 4 out of 5. Didn't matter anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, it's totally fine. We agreed on the... Sadly, I really was hoping for it to be better this time around, but it is what it is.
It sure is. That's it for Spider-Man No Way Home. Next up for Series 1 is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness from May 6th, 2022. It's a long sigh, buddy.
I'm bracing myself. I really want to. I really want to keep liking Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness because it's Sam Raimi's return to the MCU, or I guess it's his debut in the MCU.
Debut,
right? Yeah.
I did just finish watching it, and I think I'm definitely higher on it than it was this movie. Say that. Please forgive us for not liking a movie that you may love. If you want to contact us, you can email us at absolutelythebestpodcast@gmail.com. You can join our Discord. There's a link in the show notes. We also have links there to our socials and a couple ways you can help support the show. The best thing you could do would be to leave a review. Please help us spread the word. Tell Peter Parker, tell Peter Parker, and tell Peter Parker. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely the Best Podcast is a production of Audio Johnny, a subsidy of Corporation Johnny. Corporation Johnny. If it exists, we own it.
I actually, I really liked all three of them. I think we had the first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, talking about who's the best one. I still like Tom Holland the best.
Okay.
Hey, feel free to use that mic switch, buddy.
Oh, sorry.